We are live. Hey, baby. Okay. All right. This is on. This is here. Okay. Okay. Well, um, good morning. Um, do you, we'll just start off with a bang. Um, yes, I'll say hi. Um, do you find yourself in a cycle of feeling bad, trying to do better, doing a little bit better? Then when you make mistakes, the shame returns and you hate yourself even more. Or you're just going about your day and you make one tiny little mistake. And then suddenly you're like, I can't do this. All the negative thoughts just start to cycle in. Every one of them. I can't do this. I'm not good at this. Why do I even do this? Why do I even try? Um, and that just might sound like negative self talk, but at the end of the day, you hate yourself for it. Oh, there's the kid. um, I was hoping to get started before little peoples started looking for me this morning. Um, but this is the Messy Motherhood Corner. So you want to stop, but you can't. You try, and I've tried. I've tried many times. Um, but nothing seems to stick. In fact, you might think it's like, oh, well, it worked for a little bit. And then it just happens all over again. You're like, what the heck is wrong with me? And life starts feeling like this sick roller coaster you can't get off of. And that's no way to live life. Riding a horrible roller coasters can be fun, but when you're riding one that makes you feel sick constantly and there is no off button, that's not a motherhood that you should accept for yourself. That's not a life you should accept for yourself. So, anyway, good morning and welcome to the Messy Motherhood Podcast. I'm Haley Ramm, a wife and mother to 5 darling children. I have one with me here. Yeah, you want to say hi? Yeah, you're my little buddy. Yeah. Um, so I had started this, I believe it was back in 2023. Um, I I started one episode. I had others recorded, um, but I didn't I didn't keep going. And part of the reason for that was I life life got in the way. I was just trying to find. Okay, no, it was in 2024. Okay. So it's 2024. Wow. Okay, I thought it was a longer time period. So it's 2 years ago. Just about. I had only 4 children at the time. I've since added another one. But the idea was kind of to just have some real honest talk about motherhood, especially coming from the point of view from someone who has been abused, who is, I think the term is cycle breakers, breaking generational, you know, cycles of trauma. And I I'm glad I didn't continue in 2024. Honestly, I'm glad I didn't continue because I wasn't I had not processed everything. Now maybe that would have been even better for me to do episodes where I'm like, "Hey guys, I'm processing this." So maybe I should have gone, I should have gone. But fear kept me from doing it. Anyway, um I have come to a much better place right now, and it's hard to imagine. Like, I thought I was in a good place then, and it is so hard to imagine telling myself then, "Hey, here's what you're gonna go through, but you're gonna be better for it." Because I went through hell. Like, I have gone through hell, like, I don't know how many times in my life. I was raised in hell. We have a complete series detailing that over in a different playlist, a Long Way to Hell series. Um But I think I want to add my voice to, there's lots of people who have their own, you know, way of doing things, and I'm just adding mine. I think we can all learn from each other, mothers alike. And this was the original idea, was that mothers can learn from other mothers. And we need to stop seeing as young mothers or mothers with fewer children as less experienced, because sometimes we can have our eyes opened by someone else. And if we just approach it with humility, then we can grow. You can't grow if you're not willing to admit that you need to grow, which kind of actually leads me into my point about the topic, um, about self hatred. Um, so for me, and I'm not any kind of licensed professional. I am simply sharing my thought process, what I have learned, the things that I have gone through, and just, I used to think, oh, my thought process is the only one out there. That could be true, but I think it's more likely that other people might resonate with my thought process. So I thought, yep, I should just speak from that point of view and not try to be anybody else, because I'm not good at being anybody else. I'm good at being myself. Well, I'm still learning how to be myself, but that's a whole different topic. So anyway, so the hatred cycle for me was a tough one. And it evolved over time, and it will evolve for, maybe it's evolved for you. In the beginning, it was, I didn't have kids when I first got married. Well, even before then, I had this shame cycle, this self-hatred, and would just talk so horribly to myself. And like, the one thing that made me stop and realize, like, maybe I shouldn't be speaking to myself this way, was when I heard someone say, like, the way you speak to yourself, if you talk to anyone else like that, how would they respond? Would they still want to be your friend? Like, why are you still friends with yourself after talking to yourself like this? And I was like, yeah, yeah, no one would want to be my friend. I don't even like me. I don't want to be my friend. And I didn't I didn't like the thoughts in my head. I didn't like feeling like a constant failure. And every time I did something wrong, I would hate myself. Every time I made a mistake. It could have been innocent. It could have been simply learning mistakes, right? When you grow and you learn a new skill, like being a mom or being a wife, like new thing, if you have to approach it with, I'm new at this. Well, not me. I'm like, well, if I don't get it, then I am defective. And so I would think I'd found the real reason, and I'd be like, I'm never going to hate myself again. I feel great about myself. And then soon afterward, the self-hatred cycles would come back in. And I'd be like, what the heck is wrong with me? Why can't I get to this? So, and I found that there are several reasons why I struggled with self-hatred, and why I thought it was just one reason. I had all of them, so I'm just gonna, there might be more. Okay, honestly, there could be other reasons why you hate yourself, but I'm just gonna focus on the 4 that I dealt with. um, because that's what I can speak from, and that's what I have experience with. So I I would rather just, yeah, speak from there. So now, as I give these reasons, you might experience a range of emotions. I'm not going to tell you how you're going to feel. I'm just going to say, if anger is one of those emotions, don't rush in to react how you normally react. And what I mean by that is, whether that's you shove it aside and you ignore the anger, and you're just like, well, this doesn't have anything to do with me. If anger comes up, there is a reason. Emotions are messengers, and they have important things to tell you. They are good. They're not evil. They have reasons for being there. And if we can set aside our normal reaction to anger, which is either to rush in and wear it like a bear costume and just go on a rampage, um, and just wreak havoc and just explode everywhere like a volcano, like, "Ah, you can't say that," or, how we normally respond, or it's to ignore it and think, and then maybe you start feeling self-hatred because anger can lead to self-hatred. Instead, pause. Put a pause on that anger. Put a pause on your reaction and let the anger sit there. Feel the anger. It'll be hard, and you might be reaching for all the coping mechanisms in the world, whether that's to rage out, to scroll, to do all the things. Maybe you may not even be aware of your normal reaction to anger. So if anger comes up, sit with it. Then ask yourself, why am I angry? Why does this bother me? Why does this make me hate this woman? Why does this make me hate myself when I hear these reasons? Just sit with it, because when we lean into the anger, when we examine these emotions, we can go deeper. We can go much, much deeper and get to the root problem, because emotions are just surface level reactions. They're just messengers giving you information about what's going on inside of your entire system. And when you can recognize that and honor that response, I'll be coming back to this one time and time again, because emotional regulation is not an easy thing, and it's so not easy, especially if you are someone who was raised in an abused household like myself. Um, Emotions are tricky little things, and you can have a love-hate relationship with your emotions. But just try sitting with it and examine it. Try separating yourself from it and looking at it from different angles and just asking yourself, why am I angry? So, with that being said, I'll jump into for the reasons. Some others might come up as I remember them. This is just the four top ones that I could think of for myself. Um, this is not a complete exhaustive list. This is simply my experience. So, anyway, reason number one, why you can't stop hating yourself is you may have been abused. And that's that may not make sense, and some people may think, "Oh, well, now you're just looking to blame your parents for why you do the things you do." Well, no. No. I love asking the question, "Why?" I love asking that question. And for a lot of people, that question gets stamped out of them pretty early on. We get annoyed with children for asking why, but it is such a vital question. So, if you have been abused, you were mistreated. And if you were mistreated as a child, then you have all sorts of issues, not just hating yourself. Hating yourself is a big one. And until you can stop hating yourself, you can't heal. You can't. Um, so for me, I have learned, I have just done a deep dive on child development, what children learn, because I'm a mom. For one thing, I want to know what is happening with each of my kids at different stages in their life and how I can best support all of that, how I can best approach it, because I was not modeled correct parenting. So I don't know the proper responses to things. I have my instincts, but I question my instincts sometimes, because I'm like, where did that instinct come from? Is that an instinct that is good and healthy, or is an instinct that comes from fear? Instincts that come from fear can help you with survival, but if you're just trying to raise healthy children, you may not need to be living in survival mode, you know? So, I learned, this was mind-blowing to me, the reason that parents can be blamed. I don't want to say blamed, but held responsible for the way that adults are now today. Because look, we have a mess. All right. We have a mental health crisis. We have just, the world is a mess. And everyone wants to blame the food. Everyone wants to blame all of these external factors. But the reality is, a lot of it comes down to how people were treated in their home from the ages of 0 to 18, even beyond that, and for however long that you remained in your home. Like, so I learned that from the ages from 0 to 7, a parent is literally writing a child's subconscious code. That's heavy. Okay, think about your subconscious. Think about what you operate on. What systems do you operate from? Most of us are operating from a code that was written decades ago, a code that we weren't even aware of we were operating from. And we've these neural pathways get solidified in childhood. And our way of relating to ourself gets solidified in childhood. The way our parent speaks to us becomes our internal voice, the way we speak to ourselves. That is both terrifying and amazing at the same time, because it can help work back the way you speak to yourself, and you can start to begin to understand things. Now, I'm not saying that every parent, you know, treated their kid this way. There are good parents out there, but there are a lot of destructive ones. Some aren't doing it intentionally. Some are just operating on their own code that was written for them. And they didn't understand that they were operating from a code that was wired decades before. They didn't understand that. So they were just operating from their own code and continuing. It's like rewriting a new code, a new set of code that's just like it. But when you become a code breaker and you break out of the code that's been running your life, you can begin to do differently. And so understanding that you may have been abused starts with acknowledgement. For one thing, you have to acknowledge, you have to ask yourself, honestly, how was I treated? Now, this is a whole process in and of itself. And this one took me years. It took me years to get through this process. And the reason it took me years is because I had a lot of damage. I had a lot of damage. And then a lot of gaslighting convincing me that the that wasn't real. So there was a lot of, well, how was I spoken to? And, does anybody remember what they said? Does anyone remember how they spoke? That kind of thing. Like verifying with other people who grew up with you. Obviously, if you're an only child, that could be a little bit harder. But maybe, you can just refer to things that you remember them saying to you. How did that sound? Now, a lot of times, again, I don't want to just blame parents for everything, right? But parents are responsible. We are responsible for how our children talk to themselves. We are in such is this is such a heavy responsibility, and I think too many of us are taking it too lightly. Well, they're all going to end up in therapy anyway. If that's the attitude you have, please pause and ask yourself why you're so flippant. What are you running from? What are you running from? Because oftentimes flippancy is a sign of escaping the reality of something. I know because I was there. I know because a lot of my family members are still flippant about horrific crimes that were committed against us as children. And there's a difference between just making a joke about something because you're healed and making a joke about something because it bothers you. And it's hard to know the line. Really, it's a fine line, but it's the difference between being healed and coping. And I've been on both sides of that coin. I've been on both sides. So I know. So how, like, you may not have the memories of abuse, or you know exactly how you were abused. Okay. Don't just look at the actions. What was done to you? What was said to you? What were the tones? What was the language? Were you shamed? Often, Ask yourself, what was the culture in my home when I was 0 to 7? Because that's going to be your subconscious code right there. Now, I don't have, right? I'm, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I am not a scientist. I am not a clinical psychologist. I am just someone who has studied these things and worked this out in my own life and worked back the patterns for myself. And this is just what has worked for me. Maybe this won't work for you. I don't know. This might not be for you. So you could be stuck in a self-hatred cycle because you've been abused, because what was said to you got coded in, and it's now just a pattern. It's a habit. It's just your brain created a set, like, if I make a mistake, this is what will be said to me. Like, how often do we shame children? We're like, oh my gosh, you just made another mess. You did that again. Like, I'm not a perfect parent. I've said these things and I've had to catch myself time and time again because I'm like, oh my gosh. And I've had to go back and apologize for what I have said and the way I said it and how I made my child feel. Because, like it or not, again, I'm going to say it again, we are responsible for the well-being of our children. We are so, it's we can't take that lightly. So that that language of shame and self-hatred for mistakes can lead to you continuing to do that as an adult. And I did this all the time. If I wasn't good at something, oh my gosh, I would beat myself up. And I say beat myself up, which sounds a little bit nicer, but in the reality, I was so mean to myself. I was so mean. Like, why do I bother? And eventually, as time went on, you feel hatred enough, and then you're like, well, what's the point of even living? Why am I here anyway? Wouldn't it be better off if I wasn't? Wouldn't it be better off? Wouldn't my children be better off without me? Like, they would have someone so much better than me. So you could say, like, maybe hating yourself is a good thing. Sure, it can inspire you to make change at a certain point. But if you're stuck in the pattern where you just want to end it all because you hate yourself and you can't stand to live there anymore, get some help. Ask someone for help. Ask someone to help you. And I know it's hard and it's awkward and it seems stupid. You're like, what's the big deal anyway? I'm just hating myself. Well, that leads me into point number 2. You might feel like you deserve it. I felt like I deserved to hate myself. And again, I didn't know why, but I could come up with a list of reasons why. I would come up with all of the failures in the past. I would come up with all the mistakes I'd made. I would come up with all the reasons why I should. I don't deserve to be happy. I don't who loves themselves anyway? Like, who are these mythical creatures that are walking around loving who they are and having a great life? Like, when you're in the middle of, when you're dark deep down that hole, you can't even fathom how good life can be because your life is hell. You feel like it's hell. It may look fine. Okay, here's the sneaky thing about self-hatred too. You can pretend like you love yourself. I did. I pretended like I felt good about myself. I lied to myself all the time. Okay, just to get through a day. I did. I would lie, but then I'd have moments where I couldn't lie to myself any longer. And lying is a coping mechanism to make you continue. Like, it can be helpful. It can keep you alive. So it's not, I'm not like, stop lying to yourself. You do need to stop lying to yourself, because when you stop lying to yourself and you can be honest, then you can get to the root of things. Then you can actually change. But it's hard. It's hard. It is very hard to acknowledge the dark pit that you're in, the place that you're in, and recognize. And for me, as someone who's been abused, I don't like asking people for help. And I know that the reason, it's because I'm gonna have to do a whole episode on that, man. It's because I did not have reliable people to take care of me. So I'd rather do it myself, because at least to some extent, I know that I'm in control and I can take care of myself. Well, there comes a point where you can no longer take care of yourself and you have to get help. You have to get help. And it's hard. It's very difficult. And if you feel like you deserve to hate yourself because of all the bad things you've done, stop. Because that is a lie. And I'm gonna lead into my third point, which was true for me. Um, you might not be born again. Now, maybe this part isn't for you, but if you're willing to listen, hey, listen. Um, I grew up in the church. I went to church from the time I was like 18 months old, all through my adulthood. Not all through my adulthood. I'm not dead yet. Um, Up until I was about 22, 23. Um, I was about 22, I think. Yeah. And there were other reasons I stopped going, but I believed I was saved. I thought I had Jesus in my heart. I knew God. I had a relationship with God. I didn't know I was, you know, had was worshiping a false god. uh, but I thought I was, and it wasn't until I was 27 years old where I found myself so deep down the self-hatred track, hating myself, thinking, I can't even think about helping other people and doing the things that we're supposed to be doing as Christians because I am spending too much of my day just trying to survive the next thought that slams me in the head, right? And I'm like, this cannot be the Christian life, right? That this can't be right. This literally can't be. This How is this Christianity when we're supposed to live free? I'm like, what the heck does that even look like? And I speak darkly because that's how we felt. I was so angry. Was so angry. I was angry and that anger was good though. It brought me to a place of repentance. It brought me to a place of acknowledgement. That's why I said don't shove your anger away. Listen to it because it has information. It has a valuable place. And ultimately, that anger was telling me, hey, something's wrong. Something is not right here. And I I finally understood repentance. I finally understood I didn't have the full gospel. I was baptized. But I'm like, I didn't want people to know I was a Christian because I so embarrassed. I was like, I know my life does how is my life any better than a non-believer's at this point? Seriously, that was what went through my head. How is it any better? Because I still hate myself. I'm still trapped. I was starting to become an alcoholic at that point. Um, Alcohol tasted so great and it was like it called my name. And it was, oh my gosh, it was the weirdest thing. I was like, okay, this is new. I'm becoming an alcoholic and you know, didn't have that one on my bucket list. Um, but that I felt like I deserved it because of that hatred. It was like, well, you deserve to feel miserable. You deserve to feel this way. You deserve to be an alcoholic. You deserve it was like a mixture of you deserve to numb out and not have to experience this. And yeah, you deserve to feel this miserable. And then the night I repented, I finally understood what repentance was. It wasn't just, saying sorry. Like I thought, you just accept that you need Jesus. I'm like, yeah, I definitely need something at this point. And I I understood I couldn't save myself. And I was given that picture by looking at my infant daughter at the time. And the thought popped into my head, how do you know that that baby needs something? I'm like, when she cries. And what do you do as a parent? I'm like, well, I pick her up, I step in, and I take care of her. And immediately it was that realization that I was crying out and I needed Jesus to step in and save me. Not Now, Jesus and God, these words might be offensive, they might be triggering. I completely understand. I've been there. There was a time where I couldn't talk to God. I couldn't step foot in a church. I couldn't open my Bible. I could not. I couldn't listen to worship music because it sent me into a panic attack. No joke. It sent me spiraling and sent me into horrible, like PTSD episodes. So if If Christianity has done a number on you, one, I'm so sorry. That was not real Christianity. Real Christianity does not do that. Real Jesus has so much love and so much compassion for the ones who are stuck, the ones who can't go anywhere. They have no other option. I don't know why I'm crying. They can't get themselves out of the mess that they're in, and they have one of two options. They can either end it or they can ask. They can ask for help. And all it is just recognizing that you can't go any longer. And the minute you call out for Jesus, he's there. There's no, well, I have to stop drinking alcohol before I can ask Jesus for help. None of that. I didn't. I couldn't. I couldn't quit. I could not quit. It was a compulsion that I could not stop. I could not stop lying. I could not stop hating myself. I could not stop doing all these things that I knew I wasn't supposed to do. I could not. But that's the place you need to be in to repent, because you know you want to. You want to quit, but you don't know how. And you know you need Jesus. And Jesus will always jump in. He is called the Savior for a reason. He jumps in and he rescues. And he doesn't make you feel bad about it. He doesn't shame you. He doesn't say, you deserve to feel that way. He doesn't do any of that. In fact, when I repented, I was just made aware of everything that I needed to let go of. All of the pride, all of the shame. Yes, the shame had to go. All of the hatred, all of the rage that I had for myself. There was a lot. All of the times I'd lied, all of it. It was like I reviewed everything all at once. And it broke me. I was just like, I don't know how long I sobbed. I sobbed for so long, and I was just, I don't want to be this way anymore. And repentance is turning around and thinking differently. And you can't think differently without Jesus. You can't, some people are successful at it, but ultimately it creeps back in. Jesus can free you from something that has held you captive. And this is what I experienced. I repented, and my mind, I woke up the next morning with my mind clear. I mean, I'm telling you, the second I would wake up, I would be hit with, you didn't get up early enough. You started your day late. Accusations. And I don't know where you might stand on this, but I believe in the spiritual realm, and I know that Satan is real. I know that he's out there. Uh, and he is the accuser. He's called the accuser. And every thought that I had in my head was an accusation. And I was freed from his domain. I was freed. I was a captive, but I was set free. And I woke up and my mind was quiet. It was so peaceful. And I was just kind of like, what is going on? Now, that lasted, but I felt it trying to come back in, and I ultimately needed baptized so that my old man, all of me, all the old patterns of thinking patterns could be buried with Christ at the bottom of the ocean, which is where they went. And I experienced another level of freedom. And that was just wow. And then I started to feel self-hatred again. I was like, wait, what happened? What happened? Where is this coming from? Why? Why am I like what? I thought I was done with this. And so it's very frustrating because like once you think you've dealt with self-hatred and you're like, there's more. Why is there more? Why are you here? So again, just get curious. Instead of thinking you're defective or and I was thinking, well, maybe my baptism didn't stick. I'm like, no. I know that's not true. I know. I know that I'm born again now and I have the Holy Spirit inside of me and I can ask him for wisdom. And I had already dealt with a lot of my trauma up to this point. I thought I dealt with all of it. And this was in 2022. I didn't realize I had more to go. So much more in the darkest stuff. So, um, again, I'm just gonna I'll do quick recap, but the real in-depth story is over in that The Long Way to Hell series over on the other playlist if you're interested. And we'll be doing more episodes detailing because I remembered a lot more. So as and this is why I started with my point of you may have been abused because this is important. If you've been abused, you're not going to deal with self-hatred just once. I'm sorry. You're not. It's going to keep coming back up. And the reason it keeps coming back is not because you're a failure. It's not because you did it wrong the first time. It's because, and this is something that was so helpful to know, was that the deeper, the more the Holy Spirit was inside of me, and the longer He lived there and has lived there, the more I become like Him, and the more the garbage comes to the surface and can be dealt with and be done away with, which is so helpful to know that I'm not a defective Christian. This is what sanctification, that's a word that people use. That's Christianese. It's not necessarily Christianese. It's in the Bible. It's the process of becoming more like Jesus at its simplest and getting rid of the old. Sometimes it's we have to revisit things over and over and over and be reminded, hey, you're not this way anymore. But if it keeps coming up and like just sit telling yourself, I don't need to hate myself, isn't working, it could be rooted in something that you're struggling with. Maybe there's, excuse me, a thought pattern that was begun in childhood and you have to deal with it. There's a specific memory tied to that shame cycle. So for me, for instance, the one I would really hate myself on is around my intelligence. If I couldn't understand something or I felt like I was dumb, I would spiral. I would spiral so hard and I would hate myself. And I it I knew the memory where this became a starting point for that language, that cycle of self-hatred. And it was when I was homeschooled and I'd gotten the GED and I had gotten my scores back. And Terry, my dad, um, he looked at my scores and I thought I did pretty good. I had like 96% in like writing and 97 in language arts and things like that. And the one I had 50% in was my lowest was math. So he took one look at it and all he said was, "You sucked in math." And as a 17-year-old who I was almost 18, who, had just worked really hard, I felt so horrible. I was like, "You're right, I did suck at math, and I'm not that intelligent." And so that memory, that moment, not just the memory, but that experience broke open a wound and it created a place for the self-hatred to reside. Best way I can explain it. And it it festered and anytime I would feel dumb or like I wasn't getting something or comprehending something, that's where that code would start and be like, "Well, yeah, he was right. You suck at this, you suck at this, you're stupid." He didn't even have to say you're stupid, but from the connotation, that's what I took away from it. Like, yeah, I didn't do that great, so I must be dumb. Um, so it took many years, and I knew that one was a pretty obvious one because it happened later on, so it was easier for me to recall like when it started. But until I resolved that moment. And one thing that really helped was my husband, Reagan. He's like, "Let me see. You still have your scores, right?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Let me look at that." And so he looks at it and he goes, "Oh my gosh, your dad was the dumb one. He didn't understand his percentile. It's not even, he's like, you did better than," and he explained, 50%, in the 50% percentile is what it was, 97th percentile. And he's like, you're way smarter than you thought. And so having him take a look at the truth or the paper, because I hadn't, to be honest, I hadn't looked at that paper since then because I couldn't bring myself to it because of the shame was so much. I was just like, I can't. It's just. I didn't throw it away either, which is weird. Like if you hated something so badly, like why wouldn't you destroy it? But I held on to it. I'm glad I did, and I understood this. It was when he spoke truth into that moment. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. And that was freeing. So at at its heart, dealing with self-hatred, a lot of it is rooted in lies you tell yourself. A lot of it is it starts in lies that someone either spoke over you and is being reinforced by what your brain is deeming as evidence to confirm what you think about yourself, or it's it's rooted from someone speaking that to you. So it's either from an experience or speaking to you. And that kind of brings me to my fourth point, which again, this could be touchy for some people, but again, this was what happened for me. I am simply relaying my experience and what I know is true for a lot of people. So, as I said, I believe in the spiritual and the supernatural. I know that God is real, God exists, and I know that Satan exists and he is real. Um, as someone who's actually encountered demonic presence uh, many times, I can tell you they're real. And as I said before, Satan is described as the accuser. And in moments of trauma, when there is a wound, when there's a fear or some dark emotion, it's kind of honestly, it is a lot like Star Wars and like the dark side of the Force. But where there is that wound, that opening, or they become like gateways you could think of, kind of like in Stranger Things. Um, a gateway for them to enter, take hold, and now torment you, and they will bring thoughts to your mind constantly. So it could be them. And that's the way it was for me. I recently experienced, I was like, I thought I had all of them cast out of me. If this is weird language, I understand. It sounds weird. It sounds bonkers. And that's okay. It's, I don't have to, I'm not for everybody. And that's okay. But I, I had one cast out of me. And when it left, again, I was dealing with some serious self-hatred again. And it was rooted in um, needing to protect myself as a kid because I was not. So essentially I was raised by sadistic pedophiles. Um, is the accurate description I have found for them. Um, and so I learned you can't trust anyone, so I had to protect myself. Young, okay, we're talking 17 months old. I learned the world is not safe and there is no one for me. There is no one here, and I have to protect myself. So because of that wound of abandonment, I was abandoned too, to some degree. There is an opening for darkness to dwell, to come in and take hold, to come in and say, well, here's what you deserve. You deserve to be left alone. You deserve to be, no one's going to protect you. You're not worthy of protecting. You're not valuable. And at its core, that's kind of where it stands, that you're not valuable. Children should be made to feel valuable. All right. If your child does not feel valued and you do not value their life, ask yourself why. If you do not value yourself, I'm going to talk about this on its own separate thing, because I need to end this soon. Ask yourself again. Just get curious about yourself. Get curious about why you do the things that you do. Ask yourself, why do I not take care of myself? Why do I think it's okay to punish myself, to hate myself? And again, for me, letting go of those, I don't know what's a more palatable uh, phrase to call them. Just, I don't know, because demon seems like, oh, but evil spirits is also a little, it's just, I mean, they're evil entities that hate you. Okay. They hate you. And the reason they'll hate you and attack you is because all people are created in the image of God. We are God's image bearers. All people, every single human being that walks this planet. And we have an adversary who hates us because we are God's image bearers. So, trying to think how to wrap this up. I kind of had some notes, but at the same time, I know this was heavy. Hopefully, this provided you with some clarity. And again, if it made you angry, ooh, good. Good. That's good. That's a good thing. Be angry and examine it. It's not actually a sin to be angry. We have demonized anger too much. And every one of us has anger for a reason. And until you stop ignoring it, it's just going to continue destroying your life. But if you acknowledge the anger and get to the bottom of it, then you can help. You can get some answers. You can get clarity. And if there are other reasons why you think you hate yourself, I would love to hear them. This could be vulnerable, so maybe you don't want to put this in the comments. I don't know. But if you feel like it, leave a comment below as to your reason or reasons why you can't stop hating yourself. Because I want to create a community of mothers who can talk about the real stuff in an honest way without jealousy, without competing with one another, without trying to outdo one another, and even in our self-hatred. Let's stop. Just run your own race and let's help one another, because life requires human connection. A healthy life requires healthy human connection. I should clarify. I've had the unhealthy connection, and that was not life. So I hope this was eye-opening. I hope this was helpful. I hope this, got you thinking, and will, land on the ears that it's supposed to land on. And hopefully I'm going to try to do this regularly, once a week. We'll see. In the morning, going live raw. And I was going to brush my hair, but I ran out of time. So we're messy over here in this corner. And that's okay. We do it messy. As long as we're doing it, we do it messy. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And I hope to see you on the next one.